food allergies and planning, well, for the holidays or for taking trips.
Right. So it's kind of interesting. Before I had children, my biggest concern was, did I have shoes to match whatever outfit I wanted to wear while I was on a trip? And now I could care less what clothes end up in our bags, as long as I have the food that I need. And so the first question is always, how long am I going to be away from a kitchen? And so for us, we personally don't eat out at restaurants. A lot of families can and do. They feel comfortable doing that. And so for those families, they would need to scout out restaurants ahead of time, wherever they're going to be, call ahead, speak to a manager, get the manager's name, and then find out what types of meals they could safely prepare in that restaurant.
Right.
For us, we travel with all of our food. And so that typically takes me about 2 weeks to prep, because I just have to special order certain things that I might be out of that I can't find locally. So if I have the warning, then I will start planning out food 2 weeks in advance. And I have a list of my non-perishables. I have a list of my perishables that are packed in my cooler. There's a list of the foods that I prepare in advance so that I can warm them up quickly in a microwave in a hotel room. And then things that I can cook in my special little pot, in an actual microwave in a hotel room. And then I scout out what grocery stores are in the areas where we're going to be staying.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
Yeah. And so then that way I don't have to bring everything. I can bring however much I need until I get to that stop. And then I know what grocery stores. I'll call the grocery stores ahead of time and verify that they keep a food that I need. And then I have a list of what foods I can buy at what stores while we're on the road. And then that way I can restock. So the ultimate test was last spring when we decided with 1 week's notice to drive all the way across country and back with both of our boys. And so that was a true test of my packing and planning skills.
Definitely.
We survived, and I actually would do it again. So it was successful, I think.
So did you learn anything new on that trip?
I did. I learned how to pack the cooler more efficiently. So I was always pretty good about packing our snacks in the back of the car. I would know, we packed so many snacks that were perishable and not perishable, and how long it would last the kids in the car. But I had never done more than 3 days in the car with them. And of course, that whole trip took almost 17 days. And sometimes we were driving for over 24 hours overnight. And so I learned to pack the cooler more efficiently. The things that were on the bottom were the things I wasn't going to take out until we got to our next hotel. And then the things on top were my quick grabs when we would stop to gas up. So I wasn't digging through the cooler in the back of the car.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. So have you ever flown?
We did a couple of times when my son was young. That was before my oldest was young. And that was before he started having airborne reactions. His allergies have unfortunately become more severe. So his threshold for a reaction has actually gotten lower as he's gotten older. For the majority of children, it does get better. Like their allergies can, in some cases, become less severe over time. But for him, they've actually worsened. And so after several airborne reactions that required epinephrine and then very exciting trips in the ambulance with the lights going flying down the freeway, which he thought was super fun. Luckily, he was relaxed and that was good. But after some of those experiences, we've been advised not to fly. And so when we decided last spring we wanted to visit friends and family in California, the only way was by car. So I had 7 days to figure it out, and I love a challenge, and so I was totally up for it.
Definitely. Yeah, I think I heard somewhere, as the holidays were approaching, that TSA released their approved foods to travel list, and then you could actually bring an entire cooked turkey.
That's
and I was like, you gotta be kidding. I mean, I've traveled with a whole round of cheese before because I make homemade cheese, and I brought it to relatives, and of course I got stopped by security because they're like, what is that? So I'm like, well, you want to sample it? I can cut a piece off for you.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, so with traveling, you can actually bring on more food if you have a medical need. And so oftentimes it's best to call TSA and just check and make sure you have whatever documentation you need. For us, when our son was younger and we flew with him, I did bring food that normally would not be allowed on. And I just had a letter from our physician saying that it was medically necessary for me to carry that food for him because he couldn't eat anything in the airport. So if we were delayed at all, I needed to be able to feed him because he was about 2.5 or 3 at the time. And so that is possible. It's just best to call ahead and make 100% sure that they're not going to give you a hard time as you go through.
That's the last thing you want to be detained at TSA and then have things confiscated that you spent so much time sourcing and packing and all that. So.
And a lot of people are concerned about bringing epinephrine on going through security, but I've never had anybody give me a hard time about it. I always have our emergency action plan filled out, and that's for myself now when I fly, because I do fly for some of my other jobs. And so I have my emergency medical plan that lists my allergy and then why I carry epinephrine. And so I just present that to TSA, and they've never given me a hard time about it. And
is there a place to get like a standard form that you can get?
There are a couple that are available online. You can download them for free. Food-allergy.org. If you go to their website and search for an emergency action plan, then you can download it in English or in Spanish. They have it available in both. And so you can print that out. I keep mine in like a plastic sleeve so that it doesn't get as torn up in my bag. And then I keep it right with my epinephrine.